Peace.
Yo, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, I'm gonna try something different. I don't think I've ever done this before, sort of like a pre-recorded episode. We've been normally going with the live videos, but I wanted to try something a little bit different, going into the test series against New Zealand. Um, we have, the test series starting tomorrow. There's a three-test match series against New Zealand, West Indies, where I believe that we have a good chance of putting up a good fight in that test series. I think it will bode well for us as a team that we were there for the ODIs and the T20s, right? And a lot of the same players are playing in the games, right? So that will allow guys to build their familiarity with the conditions over there in New Zealand. Um, but more specifically, this video shouldn't be long, maybe about 20 minutes or so. But more specifically, we'll be kind of honing in on the two Dominican players that we have in the West Indies cricket team, which are Alick Athanaze and Kavem Hodge. So I just want to talk a little bit about what I want to see from the guys, right? What I want to see from them in terms of their performance levels, and what I think that they can do, right? I think they have shown in the past, right, that they can play well at this level, and I think they have the ability to keep that going throughout the series. So I kind of have four things for each player that I'm looking for. And I think if we do get that from these players, that they'll have a very good series, and then ultimately that will bode very well for the West Indies cricket team on a whole, right? So I'll start with Double A, Mr. Alick Athanaze, or Athanaze as they say. So what do I want to see from Alick, right? I think Alick has shown that he's not out of place in Test cricket, right? In international cricket, I should say. A lot of players, former players, not just former West Indians, but you have the great Brian Lara, speaking very highly of him. You have Ian Bishop, who raves about him. And he's been in the team for, I guess, the overall T20 ODI and Test team now for about 2 years, maybe going on three. So I think, he's had some time to kind of board himself into the squad. I don't think he's out of place more than anybody else, right? I think he deserves to be there. However, he tends to kind of get starts and doesn't kick on, right? Which is something that I think Alick knows that, he has to improve. I don't think I need to say that, but, since this is a preview, I'll say that. But I think Alick knows that he has to improve on that, right? He gets starts in every format of cricket, right? Test cricket, ODIs, and T20s. He kind of gets off, get to 20s, get to 30s, and he tends to get out. And there's been a couple of times where he's kind of kicked on, right, to go on and get some half centuries. But I think Alick, is due a big one, and I think this is the Test series where he should need to stamp his name as a player in that middle order that cannot be dropped, right? So four things I'm looking for from Alick. So the first thing, I just kind of mentioned it, the conversion of stats, right? He gets to the 20s, he gets to 30s, but he needs to try to make sure that once he gets into those 20s and 30s, he's done the hard grafting, right? He's done the hard work, and he needs to make sure that he does not give his wicket away. I think a lot of times when I watch Alick play, very few times I've seen a bowler, kind of bamboozle Alick, right? So he tends to kind of, I don't know if he just wants to be too aggressive, or he's thinking that he needs to up the score rate, but just bat time, right? If you bat time, you stay in the wicket, you face balls, you will score runs, right? And I think with his natural way of playing, he will score some runs. So he needs to think of turning those 30s into 60s, 70s, and then possibly once he gets there into the 60s and 70s, push on, right? Push on. And when you get to 100, you get a big 100. That's what helps build your average, right? Because you're not going to score hundreds every game, but you want to make sure that when you do get in and you do get 60s and 70s, that you're kicking on, all right? The second thing I want to see him have a little bit of a better shot selection when he's under a little bit of pressure, right? I think a lot of these teams they kind of target Alick outside the off stump, right? They try to let him go for the big booming drives outside the off stump. And we'll get to Kavem, but that's one thing I think Kavem did really well in Australia, right? Where he realized, boy, you know what, these guys are targeting me outside the off stump. So I'm gonna put that shot away and just let them bowl to me, right? Let them bowl to me, and I think that bode well for Kavem. I think he got 70 something in that game that the West Indies won. The other thing is Alick needs to trust his defense. I think don't get bogged down and thinking, well, these guys will get you a ball out and all this stuff. I mean, a lot of these pitches that the West Indies have played on have not been the best pitches, to be quite honest. So you could see why batters can get frustrated, right? Because even the team batters on the other teams are not scoring a lot of runs. But you kind of you wear down the bowlers, you target your bowlers, right? And you have better shot selection under pressure. The third thing I would say they might target him with is a short ball, right? I mean, I think we could see that in the T20s and the ODIs, not just Alick, but New Zealand used that short ball against a lot of the West Indies players. So just be, more confident, right? I've seen him play the short ball against much quicker bowlers than what New Zealand have, right? Against Mark Ward and all these guys, and he's played it very, very well. So I want to see him have more confidence against the short ball. Be confident with your back foot shots, but just make sure that you're not hanging your bat outside of the off stump, right? And then the last thing I would say for Alick that I really, really want to see, and I spent a little time speaking on this, is leadership energy, right? So I believe that Alick is a player in the West Indies team that a lot of the players like, right? You can tell they like him, they respect him. He was made Win-Wellens captain at a young age, right? And I think they went on to win a championship with him as a captain. So he obviously has leadership qualities, right? I think Alick should embrace that, right? I think you should embrace that. I don't think you should run away from that. Don't think, oh, I'm from a small island and all these guys. No, those guys are looking up to you as a premier player in the team. So cherish it. Take that, run with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very few times we've had guys from our island in that position that Alick is in, right? So Alick needs to embrace that, in my opinion. If I was to talk to him, I would tell him, embrace that. Don't be shy. Don't say that, oh, it's not my turn. No. Graham Smith was captain of West Indies at a young age, right? So if you look at what's happening in South Africa right now, Temba Bavuma, right? When he became the captain, a lot of former players had things to say, right? Now that man has won 10 out of 11 tests, right? So, believe in yourself, trust yourself, be confident as a leader. You have the calm body language, right? You have that leadership quality. You have that, that steadiness that the team needs. Just make sure that you cement yourself as a major part of the future of this West Indies cricket team. No matter who they think of bringing in or removing, that your name is not the one that is being considered for removal. All right. So those are the 4 things I'm looking for from Alick. I'll go over it again. Conversion of starts, get better shot selection under pressure, confidence against the short ball, and then embrace that leadership energy that you obviously have, right? As a young player in the team. Okay. Now that's what I think about Alick. I don't want to preview anything. I don't want to preview in terms of his performances. I don't know, Alick might see this, and I don't want to give him any pressure, but it's more of, just embracing the talent that you have. Because I think anybody who's seen you play, nobody can deny your talent, right? So just make sure that you are, harnessing that to the best of your ability and do everything you can to make sure that you're not giving your wicket away, right? Now, we'll go on to Kavem. Kavem Hodge, I believe, is a very reliable middle order batsman, right? He's a very good all-round player. He can bowl left-arm spin. He can also field very well. So there's 4 things that I want Kavem to concentrate on, right, in terms of his success. Kavem, I think he just needs to continue batting time, build partnerships. I think one of the things that has been very, very good for Kavem and Alick, they seem to bat really well together. And most likely they might be in the wicket together again. So you use that, right? Kavem, you're a naturally patient player. right? So occupy the crease. You know, don't worry about wickets falling around you. Just make sure that you are there, right? Rotate the strike, against spin. Specifically, that's something that the West Indies batsmen tend to struggle a little bit with, rotating the strike, and that rotating the strike will help keep the pressure off of you. Okay. Um, Now, when I think Kavem also is another player who kind of gets starts, right? Um, and then I want to see Kavem kick on as well, right? You've looked very good in patches, right? You had your maiden test 100 against England in England, right? 120, I believe it was, and then you had another 70 odd against against Australia in that day night test. So listen, guys, you're not out of place. You're not out of place. You're in a place that you deserve to be. You worked hard to be there. Just make sure that you are grabbing those opportunities, right? So your match winning, so your starts. Let's try to make sure that you're converting those into match winning scores. That's the second thing that I have to say for Kavem, right? You're able to bat well in tough conditions. So and then you have to make sure that by the end of this series that they're not thinking of dropping you anymore, right? They went and they try to get other guys and whatever. Look, they come right back to you, right? So there's a reason for that, right? That there's a reason for that. So embrace that. Don't be hesitant to take the ball. I think Kavem. I think don't underestimate the ability to be a difference maker with the ball, right? I know it's not up to you; it's up to the captain. But you're gonna be bowling in conditions where you have guys like Mitch Santner and all these guys, who are left arm bowlers, and it's a good difference in variation than what we might normally have, right? So let's just think about that. I know we have Warrican, right, who is the vice captain. So if he plays, he obviously will get majority of the bowling, but you never know. Sometimes a small, a small burst from you with a couple overs here and there could kind of break a partnership and try to give the main bowlers a little bit of a rest. All right. So that's one thing. That's the third thing I'm looking for from Kavem. And then the last thing is Kavem has this insatiable what's the word? He has this insatiable oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the way that he carries himself, right? He's very, very positive, right? He brings the vibe up, right? The guys, you remember the video he had in England when he went to talk to the stump mic and all that. I mean, those things, it helps bring the team up, right? So I think Kavem harness that, man. Harness that. Those are things that can help drive a team, right? It can help drive a team. So you might be the guy. You might be the catalyst, right? You just start certain things. You start certain conversations. You start, clapping the guys. You start encouraging the guys, and you never know. That can give a guy an additional push, right, to perform at a really high level. So, let's just keep that, right? Keep that positive energy. Keep that, that really positive vibe that you have, and bring that into the team, right? Bring that into the team, and especially that you have been a regional player for a number of years. Kavem has been a regional player for a number of years. So all the guys around the region know him, right? So be comfortable in your own skin. I'm not saying you're not. But I just want you to embrace that. All right. So those are the 4 things I'm looking for from Kavem. Like I said, this video not going to be too long, just about 15, 20 minutes. So I'll go over it again. Batting time and helping to building those partnerships, especially with people in the middle order. Turning your stats into match winning scores. Don't be afraid to, to bowl some useful overs with the ball, right? That could break partnerships, that could help the team, and also bring your intensity, right? With your fielding, with your attitude, right? And, just continue being positive. I believe that will bode really well for you and the team in general. All right. You guys tell me what you think. For those who watch the video, hopefully, you guys could, give me your opinions on what you think and what are we looking for from our 2 Dominican guys playing against New Zealand tomorrow in the first test match. All right. For those who don't know, the test match starts. It's a good time for us over here, to be honest, because it starts here at 5 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. So that'll be 6 p.m. in Dominica and in the Eastern Caribbean. It starts at that time, and basically you can watch cricket until you go to bed, right? So you go from basically from 5 to somewhere about 11, 12, right? So that you can watch cricket until you go to bed, until you have to go to bed and wake up for the next day of work. All right. Um, so the last thing, I guess I'll just say, I'm Alick. I want to see maturity from you, patience, and just embrace that you're a big time player. You're a big time player, right? New Zealand, they're gonna come at you guys hard, right? So I don't want you to just think about looking good because you naturally have that. You're gonna look good. I want you to be good. I want you to be good. Turn them 30s into 130s. Show the region and show the world that you are what they believe that you can be. All right, that's what I want to see from you, Kavem. You are our own, bro. You're Dominica own. You worked hard, right, to get to where you are. We want to see your partnerships. We want to continue seeing that discipline. We want to see that calm middle order presence. We want you to give us this steady hand, right? When things start maybe getting rough, right? And then don't be afraid to chip in with the ball, right? You are that glue that the team needs. You, Kavem Hodge, right? If the two of you guys step up, trust me, that can make a big, big, big difference for you guys personally, and also for the West Indies team. All right. With that said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really want to see you guys' comments. If you guys disagree with anything I said, if you guys agree, just put, like the video, share the video, put a little comment underneath, and help push the algorithm and to help us, atop the thing. All right, everybody, take care, stay safe.